got so involved with the game that they would slam stuff on my table, and they would yell, and they would act out, and for days he'd walk around like, I'm the king, whatever. He did that silly crap. And I would just think to myself, what the hell is this? Because I wasn't raised like that. We played Parcheesi. I had to go outside and play. I wasn't allowed to watch television. I wasn't allowed to do all that stuff. But Roy, he was really fascinated with the pretend. If it was pretend, if he could take himself and inject himself into another world and be that person, that was Roy. That's where he wanted to be. He believed in black magic. He believed in wizards. He believed in fantasy. He believed in fairy tales. He believed in demons, vampires. That was his world, and that was so far from anything that I liked or understood that that's where we were very, very different. Very different.
Okay. Is he a person who can be believed?
No, absolutely not. And just I say that so abruptly. I have to say that because Roy talks so many untruths that you can't. When he does talk the truth, you just can't believe it because everything in his head is so made up. It's all about. It's like he's a walking book, and he wants to make things up as he goes. And the story you hear today, the story will grow tomorrow, and the story will grow again. And by the time you get to the end, it's like, wow, let's not even, And he was known for that. People used to like, okay, Roy, what's the story today? What are we going to hear? Or tell me about that thing the other day. And then people look around and go, what was that? It just grew. And I go, yeah, And I'd almost like make up excuses for him. I'd have to feel like I had to make up and go, well, it's Roy, that's what he does. He does storytelling. It was embarrassing. It was very embarrassing. I hated to go anywhere with him. I used to lie to him and go to people's houses that were important to me and pray to God he didn't find out where I was at so I would be embarrassed by him. Because you never knew what he was going to say. You just, out of the blue.
Were there ever any times where he sort of stalked you or came looking for you?
Yes. Absolutely. Again, this was at Barrow, the old house. He was angry. He was angry about the divorce. And you know what? I'll be the first to admit I pulled a fast one on him. I felt like I had to protect myself, protect my child. I didn't want to be around the abuse. I didn't want to be around the violence. I didn't want to be around the alcohol. Pretty much what I told him is sign on the dotted line separation agreement. Let's call this rock bottom and we'll see where it goes. And that was not my intent. It was not. I know it made him angry. I know it did. Because he thought for maybe a small moment that there was a glimmer of hope that he was going to hang on to me. And there was none. It was not going to happen. I had to remove myself from that situation at that moment to save myself and save my child. So he was angry. He was angry enough that he made threats. He made constant threats against me. It was not uncommon for him to say, I should have killed you when I had the chance. I heard that all the time. He even heard this. It was all the time. Every time I talked to him, you better watch your ass. I'm coming out. I'm coming after you. You never know who's. You better watch your back. You never know when I'll be there. One night I was at the house. Dave was working late. Roy was supposed to come by pick up Brandon, and he showed up. I think they were going to a motorcycle meeting with his father, which I didn't mind Brandon being involved with his family, but Roy showed up drunk. And I said, he's not going with you. He's not going. And he goes, well, he has to go. No, he doesn't. He's not going. And let me tell you, it was ugly. The mental and the physical abuse I went through before was nothing compared to how scared I was at that moment. I didn't want to be in the house by myself. I would call David and go, he's calling the phone, he's telling me he should have killed me. The one night I was in the house, I kept hearing knock around the windows and doors, and I'm like running around like a crazy person. I'm in the far bedroom with my son. I called David. David goes, "You stay right there, I'm on the way." I said, "No, I'm calling the cops." I called the police. They came out, looked around, nothing. They said, the best thing you can do is file a restraining order. And I said, "I filed a damn restraining order." I said, I've had friends do this before. What does that get me? And he says, all that means is that when he makes a threat again, or if he's on the premises, that they'll get out here faster. It's a different code. And I thought to myself, great, okay, well, what's that going to do for me? So I talked to the cop about it. It was not the first time I spoke to them about it. It was actually several times. And I don't know. I think I went down and filed. I don't know. I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I was sure that I filed the papers, but I never had an official restraining order. I think I filed and never went back to see the judge. I think that's what happened, because I was, again, had all intentions of protecting myself. Then I thought to myself, all I'm doing is probably putting myself in harm's way again. I truly, to this day, no question in my mind that if Roy wanted to come after me or hurt me, that he would.
Okay.
No question. No question about that.
You mentioned in our last meeting a car accident that
yes.
involved him.
Roy, again, it was a motorcycle meeting. Roy had taken Brandon to a motorcycle meet with his father in Fort Washington, Maryland. Coming back home, and this wasn't the same night that this wasn't the night that I let him go. He was staying at his parents' house visiting. On the way home, Roy wrecked the truck, had Brandon in it, and the truck landed on its side. And when it landed on its side, it went through a fire hydrant, right through the passenger side door where my son was at. The truck was laying on its side or had righted itself. I don't know which. I don't remember that part. But his father calls David, who we are now together, calls David and says, "Hey, can we borrow your Bronco so we can tow the truck back home?" I'm like, "You got to be kidding me. You just wrecked the truck with my son in it." I said, "Where's Brandon? Where's Brandon at?" "Oh, he's at the house. He's fine." I said, "I'm coming over to get him." "Well, you're not taking him." "I'm coming over to get my son right now."
Did he take Brandon to a hospital
no,
to get checked out after that accident?
No, I went and got Brandon, took him home. He had a couple small scratches, nothing major. And I didn't take him to the hospital at that point either. By the time we got home and got through the fiasco at his parents' house, that was an ordeal in itself. But once I got Brandon home, I watched him real close, and I just thought the best place. He was traumatized. That was enough. So the next day I took him and got him checked, and he was fine.
And how old was he?
5, 6. He had to be 6. All this craziness happened in like 1 year. Well, about a year and a half.
Okay.
The really bad stuff that traumatized Brandon during the divorce happened in about a year. So I have to say 6.
How's Brandon nowadays?
Brandon's doing great.
What's he doing?
He's in the Coast Guard. He is a Petty Officer E4 storekeeper stationed aboard the Coast Guard cutter Midget. He has a gorgeous wife and a to-be 2-year-old son. So he's doing very, very well.
Okay.
Very well.
Okay. Well, I thank you, and if need be, would you be willing to testify to these things?
Yes, I